current great guy.
Yeah.
The
connoisseur of Hallmark.
I was just going to say, the Hallmark connoisseur himself, Sean Salisbury. Good morning, Sean.
Good morning. Current great guy means yesterday and tomorrow I'm not, but today I am a current great guy. But I'll tell you another thing. You cannot tee me up on a Tuesday morning after watching 18 innings talking about.
I know. Let's relax.
To be adult, would you tease me up? Yeah, no. And you said, man, he was good at it. I mean, well, guess what? I never want to be the guy that somebody says, hey, Sean, you were really good with balls. So I'll leave that one alone.
By the way, weirdly enough, that's the title of one of those Hallmark movies.
Again, I'm on my third version of it. Yeah. But I never want to be the guy that says, man, Sean, you were so good at that. No, I actually wasn't.
This is a true story, real quick. This is honest to God on my kids. This is a true story. I woke up, because I just remembered this because I was laughing. I woke up Wednesday of last week because Sean came on Tuesday. And I remember saying, I called my wife after the show and I said, dude, I don't know what I did, but I did something. She said, what? I said, I know I haven't exercised. I haven't played golf or anything. I said, when I breathe in deeply enough, my chest hurts. It's like I pulled a muscle in my chest. And it took me a minute. It took me a while to realize because I was going through whatever happened the previous day. Dude, I legit think I pulled a muscle laughing at Sean's Hallmark stories last week. And Sean, you legitimately injured me with your movie choices and commentary. Your thoughts?
Well, I guess that's a good thing. It's just I'm glad your wife did say, get your butt to the hospital, dude. You're having a heart attack.
That's
right. Yeah, I got a heavy pain and burden on my chest. What is it? Well,
middle-aged guy having chest pains.
I'm not dying, but I'm going to go, I confess he did it. It's Sean's fault for making me laugh because he's watching Hallmark movies. And by the way, this call interrupted another one, but don't worry about
that. My thought is Sean taking some well-deserved time off. Again, just sitting in his Hello Kitty boxers, getting fat, watching Hallmark movies, crying all over the place.
Wait. And this morning it's one about a kid and a dog. You know, they foster a dog. I don't know the ending because I haven't got to it yet, but I'll tape it. Is it too early to have ice cream and put it with tears, having the blanket pulled
Never
up
too
to
early.
your neck?
Sean, we're going to want an update next week, but because it's Hallmark, I hope this isn't the case. I'm giving 3-1 odds Fido don't make it.
He's going to make it because this is a child who was born with a few what's the word I'm looking for?
Challenges?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
okay.
and, respectfully, but a great, he's a great kid, but he's on an adult version, and he wanted a dog, and his dad, who's been in the military and all that, said, well, you're going to have to take care of it, but it's just like a 3-day foster for Christmas, right? To take care of the dog, and then you take it back day after. So that's where I'm at right now in this, and I think what's going to happen is the dog and the dad, and everybody's going to love the dog, and the kid's going to get to keep the dog. That's what I think, because you can tell how much he loves that dog, and he knew the one right when he went in that he wanted, and the dad's saying, you know what, you're taking care of it and all that. So I think where we're headed with this is the dog's a life changer, and it really gave some purpose and some other stuff. So I don't think the dog's going to die.
Okay, it's Hallmark.
Let's hope not.
This isn't murder mystery. Somebody shot a dog.
That would be HBO.
Yes, a little different version, I think.
The dog bites the wife.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And then the dad says, well, you got bit. You may have rabies. I'm divorcing you.
Yeah.
One of those stories.
Then it ends with the dad taking the dog out back, and you just hear a loud noise, and then the credits roll.
Wow.
Yeah, then all of a sudden we hear Herman Munster come out there in Pet Cemetery and walk through and tell you. Only people that have seen Pet Cemetery will know what I'm talking about, right? Right.
Jason, go ahead.
Well, I was going to see if the baseball game and the football game last night got in the way of your stories.
Good point.
They did, but that's okay. There's always a thing called, I can DVR it, so that all works. The football game was pretty interesting for a second, but eventually Spagnuolo's defense and Mahomes, boy, are they playing good football right now. They look like the team to beat, which a month ago we were like, really, this team's going to struggle to win the division. Well, they're playing such great football. The baseball game, guys, I actually had a casual eye to the football, watching both. And there came a point in the baseball game where I'm like, first of all, you're getting so caught up in can you ever get Ohtani out? Well, the best thing to do is just roll it up there and he'll pitch it to him, right? When you do, he hammers it. And you get into the 7th inning, the 8th inning, the drama field, everything. Great base running, great throws from right field, great relays, errors and people slopping and getting off the bat. I mean, it was everything you want. Home runs, doubles in the gap, everything. And then so around the 11th inning, you start to get a little tired, right? But the TV's on. So I start to doze, and I said, no, I can't do it. And then you get to a point where it was almost like you got a burst of extra energy. And then Klein comes in and is lights out for those 4 innings. It was like, even though there was no runs until Freddie, 5 times until Freddie hit the home run, I was like, and while I grew up a Dodger guy because of SC and my buddies and Steve Sachs, who's a sack guy there, and we were, groomsmen in Mike Marshall's wedding. So I have the affinity for the Dodgers and going all the time when I was at SC. But in truth, as a Sox fan, I couldn't take my eyes off. That was one of those games that if you're a baseball fan, not just a team fan, that the drama, which is great because leading up to it and the great broadcasts and let it pause. I get into all that, and I thought they did a great job last night, and Smoltz is such a good teacher. But I couldn't take my eyes off it. Exhausted today, but worth it. Those are the ones you stay up for, and it was a phenomenal finish.
Sean Salisbury with us. We'll get to the Niners in a second, but let me go back to the Chiefs because we were talking about this earlier. We always talk about dynastic teams and how they kind of put it in neutral till the playoffs come and then they begin to peak. And we saw that with the Chiefs just were like the weirdest 2-3 loss team last year because it seemed like they won every game by a point. They're now I think 5-2. Are we like weirdly overlooking the Chiefs again?
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
100%. Matter of fact, the last year and a half, kind of 2 years, well, there's Mahomes and Andy Reid. That's not going away. I get that. And they've always been able, doesn't matter who the bodies are, just keep it rolling, right? Like when Brady was the quarterback in New England, whether it was Chris Hogan or whether then you get Moss, a big one, and then all of a sudden Jabbar Gaffney. It didn't matter. They just kept it rolling, right? And well coached, and obviously the quarterback's pretty damn good. And with Kansas City, you kind of felt the same thing. You lose Tyreek Hill, okay, you get Juju Smith-Schuster, and you get this guy, and you replace him with this guy, and this guy goes, and before they're still winning and getting to Super Bowls. But the last 2 years, this has been a defensive team. I'm telling you, and last year in particular, you looked at their offense, and even the first part of this year, you're like, here we go again. This offense just isn't good enough. And then all of a sudden you get Rice and Xavier Worthy back, and it's a whole different world because they spread the field. And look how much more effective Kelsey is, where you can't squeeze him now between the hash marks, and now they have to cover the full bandwidth, and their running game's getting physical again. So I left them I don't want to say for dead, but I'll tell you what, they were barely breathing. Because I thought, well, this year when the Chargers are going to be better, and then you came out and you didn't see much offense. You're like, man, this is not only beatable. Are they good? It's still, or is it there's a window finally closing around Mahomes and Andy Reid? Well, Spagnuolo keeps going in now. There's a different confidence. They're playing with the same swagger they did when they're dominating, and they're rolling through. Every single play seems to work. Even when Mahomes throws a pick or two, they're able to fight through it. And I'm not sure their offense could have done that. Well, last year, and we saw it happen, the Super Bowl defenses were dominating them. And even early this year, like, man, with these injuries at wide receiver, they just don't have a lot of weapons, and they're playing a lot of sideways football. Well, now the vertical passing game's back, and they're getting it all done, and Mahomes looks like he's in shape, moving around. There's a sense of urgency. Yeah, I wrote him. When I say wrote him off, I would have said there's no way you're going to see them in February again this year. And now it's almost like you're saying, well, you're going to have to be damn good to beat them to get to February if you're another team. So I think we did. But when you got a quarterback and a head coach and a great defensive coordinator, good things happen. And they've got good players on defense, and they've got exactly what you need on offense. Keep the quarterback upright and then turn him loose, and they're playing pretty good with those doggone receivers now that they got healthy.
Sean, also in the AFC, I mean, it's another week. They keep winning. I mean, the Colts, 7-1. Every time I go, well, it's impressive. There's no doubt about what they're doing. But I thought, in the end, I don't know. I'm not sure if they've got enough. But all they're doing is winning. What do you think about the Colts? And
winning and scoring a lot. I mean, you know what? I had a lot of questions going in because obviously with the Texans in that division, you kind of look and say, okay, the Titans aren't very good. And living here at Houston, I'm thinking, well, Jacksonville's so inconsistent. Another new head coach, and he's never coached in the NFL at the head coaching level. And, you know, and now who's Trevor Lawrence? Because sometimes he looks great, and then he'll go 2 weeks and you'll say he's not the first pick of the draft. Then he'll look, I mean, the inconsistency, I say, well, the Texans are clearly by the 2-game winner in this division. And with the Colts with bringing in, Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson, that whole, the waters were like, well, who's going to come out of training camp? Well, and then the Texans start off slow, and they had a great offensive game. I still don't know if we trust their offense fully yet. And then their defense is really good. So you look at, and then you watch the Colts, and then day by day, week by week, they're not only winning some close games, but they're hammering teams they're supposed to hammer. And when you're playing really good defense, and they do, they're physical enough. The MVP right now, while it's going to be a quarterback award by the time season ends, I would imagine, Jonathan Jones and Taylor together probably in the top 5 voting, and Jonathan Taylor's playing phenomenal football. So now you're going to stack the box, and Daniel Jones, you can't just stack the box and say, go ahead and beat us, Daniel Jones, because he has and he will. So when are we fair to the Colts and say, okay, we always say, 6 weeks in, we kind of get an idea of who their identity is and who a team is with, sans a few, winning or losing streaks. But we kind of know. I know who Baltimore is. I even though with the injuries, I have a good idea who they are. Buffalo. I mean, when you go through and say the Saints, 49ers, we have a good idea who they are. And the Colts, I don't know why we can't give them credit. And I think we're hesitant. He's saying, is Daniel Jones this good? Can they keep this up? Well, and their wide receivers don't get talked about much, and every week they make plays. So dangerous. They are real. They're going to get beat again somewhere along the line, but they're playing at a high level, and I don't think anybody thought that they were going to be this good. Maybe in competitive a little bit, but everything they needed. When you have teams that you're questioning, I always say this in any sport. A couple of you guys know this in hoops or in football up there, in baseball, that you got to have a couple guys have career years that aren't supposed to. You just do. I mean, the guys you expect, but then you got to have guys you're like, damn, that guy's playing great baseball, or this guy's doing something special. We always find that guy, and right now the Colts are having a lot of guys that have elevated their game, which they've needed.
One of the things, Sean, that Jason and I do, we do our power rankings for the NFL, and we do them from week 1. And our rule is always football didn't exist before this year. We're only going on results that we've seen. So if the Titans had started out 1-0 and beaten whoever 41-3, well, then the Titans are probably our number one.
Right.
You get the point.
25 measuring stick.
100%.
No reputation.
100%. So that being said, is there another team you'd even put with the Colts for number 1 this year with those rules applied?
Chiefs, because I don't just go by the record. It's how they, like you just mentioned. If the Titans beat somebody 41-3 on the opening weekend, well, regardless who it is, they were impressive, so we got to put them in. It's the way the Colts and the Chiefs now are winning. Mm-hmm. A month ago, you wouldn't have, but if we're going by trends and what we've seen, body of work, they belong. And as a matter of fact, I can actually say if they were playing tomorrow, regardless of the field, I'd have a hard time picking against the Chiefs, even though I hold the Colts in high regard. I mean, those two teams in the AFC are a must. I still think while we look at the results and some injuries, you wouldn't put the Rams in, but I think the Rams can beat anybody in the NFC. Philadelphia has to be – they just find ways to win all the time, and Jalen Hurts obviously making some big plays. So you got to keep an eye on them because they just know how, if that's part of it. How do you not like the Packers? I mean, you can go through it. The top two in the AFC just by body of work. Because really, you look at Buffalo, they haven't beaten anybody good, really, for the most part. And how do we? I think New England can win the division. How couldn't we put them as a team? Like, damn, their quarterback's playing at an MVP level. But yeah, I would put the Chiefs closest to the Colts just by what I've seen the last month. And I'll bet you, no matter where they played, if they were playing tomorrow against each other, the Chiefs would be favored. Maybe if it was in Indy, it'd be a pick 'em or a point and a half for the home team. But I think the majority of the betting world, the sharps, would bet on the Kansas City Chiefs.
Real quick, Jason, we just want to add to Sean's point. The Buffalo beat the Ravens by 1 at home to start the year, and that win looks a lot less now. Wins against the Jets, the Dolphins, the Saints, and the Panthers, with 2 other losses to the Patriots and Falcons. And then to further Sean's point, by the way, we talked about it earlier, the Chiefs and Ravens play this weekend in the marquee game. And let's see, Chiefs-Bills, I apologize. By the way, in a 125 game, rather than put them in prime time with the Cowboys and Cardinals, but that's a different convo, or Seahawks-Commanders, Kansas City favored by just 1.5 against the Bills this week.
Yeah, but in Buffalo.
Are they in Buffalo?
They are in Buffalo, yeah.
There you go. And we're looking at saying, man, when the season started, there's no way on God's green earth the Kansas City Chiefs are favored in Buffalo when we open the season. There's no way. Now you look at, like you said, I love Buffalo too for obvious reasons. Cook and Josh Allen, who's Superman. But when you look at who they've gotten beat by, and Atlanta's not a very good team, they're okay. But I mean, they beat Atlanta, but they've had what? Where's their impressive win? They don't have, or Atlanta beat them, should I say? Yeah. But Atlanta's not very good. And then you look at their wins; those not one of those teams is making the playoffs. Not one of them. Now Baltimore, people think that Baltimore can. Well, they got a hell of a hill to climb and getting Lamar back healthy. So that doesn't surprise me that the Chiefs are a favorite. I think the Chiefs right now would be favored over anybody on a neutral site, and very few teams in their home building would be favored over the Chiefs right now, according to Vegas, I would believe.
Sean, you mentioned the Texans. They hosted the Niners this weekend, did a great job of playing keep away. That first half, the Niners just never had the ball. Texans getting first downs, keeping possession. Ultimately, it felt a little bit like the injuries caught up to the 49ers, but also credit to the Texans for playing that way. What was your opinion of how that game kind of shook out?
I want to talk about extremes. The Seattle game with the Texans, you look at the Texans and say, this team's putrid offensively. They've always look at their points. Their defense, guys, going into the season, when we were talking, or wherever I was and talking on my shows, it was simply that defense is as good, will be as good as any in the league or close to it, and they are. I mean, Denver and them, I mean, they're really good. And they run around and they hit you. Good secondary, meaning the Texans. But offensively, you expected better. Well, this past week against 49ers, they were lights out. This is the best they played by far. Play caller was aggressive, actually looked like he belonged, where we've been questioning that as a rookie play caller ready for this just yet. And they came out aggressive early, got Stroud rolling. And I think certain quarterbacks need that. And it also, the reason why there were no sacks, best stat of the year for the Texans, is that the quarterback actually got to stand in there and they delivered. And they had plays designed. They didn't get too cute. Throw the ball on time, take the easy stuff, and when the big stuff's there, don't miss it. Stroud was fantastic. He looked like he was when he was a rookie. And the offensive line, to me, played their best game because they were able to run it physical enough. And then when you start like that and spread it out and get some early completions, the defense now has to match that on the other side of the ball, meaning the 49ers. And with all their injuries, it was a mismatch. And we have yet to say this year that the Texans provided a mismatch offensively for any defense, let alone one that when they're healthy, the 49ers at the top of the list. But, guys, you're playing, in truth, I hate to say this, but it feels like you're playing a AAA team. With all the injuries, and that's and Kyle's done a great job to keep them competitive. But they got in a chase mode, and then the Texans defense could tee off a bit. And you're right, the time of possession, it was just not. They can get a lot of plays, and they're just not deep enough right now to stave off somebody who actually played their very best offensive game of the year. Now we got to see. They got Denver coming in, so that'll be a defensive fist fight. But it is the Texans are pretty impressive, but the 49ers, last week I'm talking about, their defense will keep them in games. Their offense finally stepped up, and the 49ers are just so many men down. I don't know how they're surviving it.
Sean Salisbury with us, and, kind of tying that together, another thing Jason and I were talking about, you mentioned Baltimore, and they're 2-5. They got a road to get ahead of them. They got that Bears win, but they've been losing. They've been pretty bad with Lamar Jackson now. In fact, they've been terrible without Lamar Jackson. So in a weird way, Sean, does that kind of reinforce Lamar Jackson's perennial MVP status? And here's the curveball. Due to the success the Niners, for example, have had with Mac Jones or had with Sam Darnold, does that same logic kind of act as a knock against Brock Purdy as an MVP candidate?
Oh, I think that people will. Listen, it's one thing I do know. You can't – core coaches, good coaches matter and good systems matter. But in truth, eventually, if you can't make the throw, I don't care what system you're in. The player is always, in my opinion, it takes somebody to tap that potential and bring it up. Mac Jones was a good player as a rookie and then struggled. But look what happens when you get a little more innovation, better players around you, and then you start off with confidence. Good things happen. So there are always going to be guys, no matter what Brock has done. There's always going to be, that guy could start, or it's not as easy as the 49ers at times with the way Sam's playing and the way Mac's playing and Brock Purdy. But system does matter to some. And trust me, I've been in different systems, and I know where I felt more comfortable in one system than the other. Not saying I'm Brock Purdy or Mac Jones, but you get my point. So, I think it does. And then on the But regardless, when Purdy comes back and plays great and they win 3 or 4 in a row, there's always still going to be, well, yeah, he was the last pick of the draft. So we can't compartmentalize. People just want to, throw 2 picks. See, that's why but throw 4 touchdowns. It's like, but he's got great players around him. We just don't want to give those type of guys enough credit. But Mac Jones has done a hell of a job filling in and probably making a case that there's a lot of teams that could use him. Hell, if you're a team like Minnesota with now Wentz and McCarthy, it's almost like you say, well, should we try to trade for him? Well, 49ers aren't going to let Mac Jones go because of the situation. So interesting. And as far as Lamar goes, I don't think there's any doubt. I think he's the most difficult player in the league to game plan against when they're healthy. And Derrick Henry's big because, the inside run, the outside run, his speed, he's gotten so much better from the pocket. But I just don't know guys defensively, even when they were healthy at the beginning of the year, they weren't getting off the field very much. So I think there's a lot. And do they have enough weapons? And until Lamar carries that team into February, there's always going to be questions that, and that's fair because that's how we judge quarterbacks. Why can't they get to the next level? But yes, without him, they're not a playoff team. With him, you're always going to have hope.
Well, sorry. I was going to go ahead.
I just had one quick college question for you, Sean, because I was thinking about Brian Kelly out at LSU. Between LSU, Penn State, UCLA, Florida, I mean, there are some high-profile jobs that are opening. Yep. What's your just overall take on that as far as what's going on right now in college football?
Well, I'll be honest, guys. I see it. I'm not sure. And it'd take a long time to describe. We can do it another time. But the disconnect, I think, I don't think there's as many good coaches as we think there is. I think and one thing we never do. When a player gets a new contract, what do we always say if they have a couple bad games? Fat and happy, right? Oh, lackadaisical, got paid. I'm not talking about the stars like the LeBrons or Jordans who elevate when they get paid and almost make it a sense of pride. But we hear it all the time. We talk about it on players. It doesn't matter. An NIL, you got $12 million of NIL or $15 million of NIL. Look at him, man. He's taking plays off. We see it. We hear it all the time. In the NBA and baseball, got paid. Now he's hitting 218. When's the last time you heard us when a coach gets paid $100 million? Did we go on a coach and say, you know what, maybe he got fat and happy and a little casual? We never say that. We all of a sudden seem because coaches are supposed to be tough guys and mentally tough. They go through it too. And you know what? They get fat and happy. And I think that we are lacking in great head coaches at certain levels. That's why they come and go, and we overpay them. But, hey, I'm not getting their wallet. They're worth what they can negotiate. But who's to say that some of these guys, maybe Brian Kelly, and Brian Kelly's a tough guy to work for. And I respect his game and the rest of it. But you know what? Paying him it's a lateral at Penn State, James Franklin. The object is if we're paying you $100 million, we need you to win a championship. So while Brian Kelly's a good coach, when you listen to people talk and players, he's hard to be around. When it's going good, great. But when it's going bad, it's almost awfully abrasive. And I don't have a problem with the coach cussing me out, but there's something about buy-in. And LSU didn't have it. It was time. And right now, if I'm a Power 4 school that's a national championship-type Power 4, I'm not hiring him. To Penn State, it's a lateral move. Maybe a UCLA or an Oregon State jobs are open. But at Florida, I'm not getting Brian Kelly. Hell, I could find somebody who can do that. So I like Brian. I think he's a good coach. I don't think he's a great coach, but do we ever put it that maybe head coaches get a little fat and happy too and take things for granted and hire their friends, and it's not the same? Some are good, some are not. There's more better jobs open than there is great head coaches available right now is the way I feel. The best gig for it all is probably Florida. The best football gig in recruiting is LSU, and the best probably the deep dive into it, Penn State. They're all good jobs. Wisconsin may come open. UCLA needs to be rebuilt. So Brian will get a job. But if I'm Florida and Brian had to force his personality on LSU. It wasn't a fit from the start. Yep. He belongs in the Northeast. He belongs at Wisconsin, maybe even at Penn State, but that's a lateral move because you get a guy who's a big-time coach, high-paid, but hasn't won a championship. So to me, Lane Kiffin's the prize. The question is, and if he leaves, Ole Miss is a good gig. Does he want to stay and finish it? But I just think that we give coaches a lot more credit at times than they deserve, and we don't give them enough credit when certain guys do deserve it, like Eli in Missouri. So Brian Kelly is going to have some fixing to do because buy-in's been tough with his personality, and that doesn't go over well with these kids now that'll just up and say, screw you, I'm leaving for more money somewhere else, and that's a problem.
There was a problem when he did that stupid fake accent.
Yes.
And right then and there. Yeah. If you don't know what goes in a crawfish boil,
no.
You're probably in the wrong city, man.
Yeah.
And that's not the wrong town. I'm being serious. So, and it was just forced from the beginning. And to me, and you know, you are that's a place that if you don't fit that culture and what they're asking about in Baton Rouge, it's not an easy gig for you. Brian's a good coach, but I don't think he's a great one. And for me, I'm not spending $100 million on somebody to just get me 9 or 10 wins and not get to the championship. It's not worth it.
Speaking of great ones, the great Sean Salisbury joins us each and every Tuesday at 8 a.m. our time. Sean, grab the Kleenex and, curveball here. Yeah. Go back to watching Hallmark shows.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to watching. You guys enjoy the balls in your mouth there at halftime.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Send your letters to Sean Salisbury in Houston, Texas.
Hey, that's on me. And guess what? You can't take my scholarship away. It was already taken. So I'll see you guys.
See you, bye.
Yeah.
He was referring to the halftime show in Dallas where
the
the gentleman was juggling mini basketballs with his mouth.
Correct.
We'll take a break. When we come back, 4 down territory. We just